7 in all, and today I'm going to be taking you on a look inside the Gentle and Classical Nature Volume 1 program, and I'm going to be talking about how I use it with my sons and how it's very adaptable for different ages, some of the pros and the cons. Now, I chose this program and I'm using it with my preschool age sons as kind of a precursor to science, like a actual science. I feel like they're too young to start, real science at a preschool age, but you can begin introducing science concepts, obviously, from toddlerhood, and they love animals, so that was one of my big draws to this, is their love for animals. I felt that Gentle and Classical Nature was a great, gentle way to start learning some of these basic kind of animal science concepts, and I realized that I was able to incorporate some Spanish language into our science study pretty easily through using this program. So I'll show you how we're using it, talk about some of the features, and yeah, let's chat. Now I'll walk you through the different pieces of the curriculum here. I am going to show you the teacher's guide and the books that I have to go with this first, but I do want to let you know that the teacher's guide is actually available completely for free on Gentle and Classical Press's website, Erin's website, which is really awesome. She gives you a chance to look right at the teacher's guide and see if it's something that might be a good fit for you. I'm going to talk about the teacher's guide, but I'll also go a little bit further. I do want to mention that in the teacher's guide, I only started printing it at the actual units, but there's a lot, maybe like 40 pages of introductory material of some of your options, different ways, like explaining more thoroughly what she means by some of these things, like identify and visit, walk, view for term 1. So she does a more in-depth explanation of all of the different elements that you can include as part of this. We do not incorporate every element of this curriculum. I think probably most homeschoolers would say that about most curriculums. You choose and you pick what works for you and what's attaining your goals. So the curriculum is divided up into 18 units, and you have a little unit snapshot right here. And then you have an additional book menu for your unit and some explore more ideas to inspire you how to take that topic a little further. The first topic is amphibians, kind of specifically focusing in on frogs for the most part with the literature. The next will be freshwater fish. The next is dragonflies, then freshwater birds. So it's going through different types of animals. Primarily, it is the main focus of the unit is animals, and the main focus is represented in the memory statement. So there are 3 levels of memory statements, and you can choose to print off memory cards for each level. I am doing level 1. So we are using I printed off the memory statements for the level 1 because my children are very young. Fish swim in the water and breathe through gills. So I printed off this card, and throughout the unit we are working on memorizing this statement. But not just memorizing it, but talking about it more, understanding it, acting it out. Every time we did the frog card, my son would act out the entire frog life cycle. He would be an egg, and then he would be a tadpole, and then he would become a froglet with small legs, and then he would become a frog. So that was, he really liked that one quite a bit. Another element of the program is it does try to include some foreign language. And I'm kind of opinionated about foreign language. I'm not so sure that learning 3 nature-related terms in a foreign language is the most helpful way to really grow in a foreign language. But, hey, it's a start. All language is all good, But I would recommend, if you're trying to implement this and you want actual success with learning your foreign language of choice, I would suggest, if you're trying to learn the term la rana, don't stop there, but come up with like kind of an example sentence or a couple example sentences. La rana es verde. Something that's a complete sentence that you can use the vocabulary in, so that every time your children are learning words, they're also learning sentences. Because honestly, when you are a new foreign language learner, vocabulary is not very helpful. Vocabulary becomes more helpful when you already have the basics down and you're already a speaker. You just need to grow in your vocabulary to expand your ability to speak. that's my topic on that. And I'll show you the foreign language cards. She has them designed like this, so you can cut them out. You could use it as kind of a cutout, matching the word game. I did not do that because my boys are very little. They can't read. I'm not trying to work on reading it all right now. And also, I just don't like small pieces, and I'm not much of a puzzle person. So just knowing myself, I kept the cards together. You can also see I did something a little bit interesting, and I wrote on in 2 more languages the vocabulary words. And I'm not actually using the Chinese yet. For Mandarin is the language I'd like to add in for foreign language for my boys, but maybe this is just me. I'm not really gutsy enough to tackle 3 languages at once. To some extent, I'm nervous about being too weak in Spanish, so I don't want Chinese to take over their Spanish when I know they have so little Spanish exposure. So maybe I just need to get more courageous about that. But I haven't really focused on the Chinese at all yet. I just have it on in case I want to reuse these cards in the future, and also for me, because I don't necessarily have the best nature vocabulary in Chinese. So it was a great learning exercise for me, and then every time I get out the cards, I get a little review on my characters and my words. The top is another one of our local languages that's good for me to improve on. So it's actually helping me with my Chinese and Bahasa here. The Spanish for my boys is pretty easy, you know, because like there are some words, like they won't know this. They won't know ongo when we get to this, because we don't eat mushrooms and we don't talk about mushrooms a lot. So there are some gaps, and they definitely will learn some vocabulary from here, but quite a bit of it is easy because they are being raised as bilingual kids. So it's different from learning a foreign language, but they still like the cards. My boys like cards. They like picture cards and saying something. I use a lot of cards in homeschool because I've just found it to be very effective for them. And you will see here, I did laminate. Yeah, the glare is kind of annoying, but I did laminate all of the cards. And she doesn't recommend doing that. She recommends printing them on a nice thick cardstock, but it's really, really hard for me to find actual cardstock here. Usually the thickest I can get is 160 GSM, and we like to be very hands-on with our cards. We go and we hide them around, put them in the couch cushions, and a bunch of stuff like that. My boys love to be hands-on with the cards, so I laminate them because they're realistically not gonna survive. So throughout the course of 1 unit, which we're doing 1 unit in 2 weeks, we have that memory statement and we have our foreign language cards. Then during the course of the unit, I bring these readings, the core books, and then the term read alouds. I bring the level 1 reading in, and I do that during our morning basket, morning story time. I'll show you the books right here. These are the term read alouds. Sapo y Sepo, or as you might know it, Frog and Toad, is for term 1. You're supposed to read 3 stories every 2 weeks. Then we have The Adventures of Geraldine Wool. Term 2 is Thimbleberry Stories, which you can see here, kind of the level it is. This will be totally fine for my boys in term 2, which is coming up soon. I'm a little bit concerned about this read aloud, which is her recommended one for term 3 for level 1, because to me, this is a really big jump from either Frog and Toad, which is very easy, they love Frog and Toad. They love Sapo y Sepo. This is gonna be a stretch for them as far as paying attention. I mean, maybe they will mature enough by the time we get to term 3. I'm a little bit skeptical about that. I do feel like it was kind of a huge jump from this to that within a relatively short time span, but we'll see how that goes. You can see here, this is the core nonfiction book that she has for the whole Gentle and Classical Nature Volume 1. You can also see that I found the Spanish version of that, which I was excited about, that I could find the core book in Spanish. The thing is though, I'm like, this kind of book is just not so much my style, really. Like, I like stories, or more, to me this is more, it's cool. The pictures are cool. The pictures are cool to look at. Cyrus already likes to, typically look at more pages than we're assigned to look at. And I kind of say the, different names of things. But this, I don't know, different people, I know a lot of people love this. This is not so much my style as far as a book, especially for younger learners. Like I could imagine kids picking this up, like kind of more just by themselves to page through and gradually, look at the pictures, read as they're older. I feel like it's kind of a hard book to teach from for me, but everyone has their own style. Then the other books are the Over and Under the Pond, which I didn't manage to get when I was in America, and I kind of wish I did, because when I got this one, for one thing, it was quite cheap, and for another thing, it's awesome, and we love it. This is much more my style, where you're learning stuff, you're seeing a lot of pictures, learning things, but it's actually a little bit more of a story, or it's just a lot more engaging, and it's a lot better for the level of my boys. So this is for the term 2, actually. And then this is for term 3. So I don't really know what it is with term 3 getting super, super hard. I bought this book because it was on the list. And when I'm in America, I just have to kind of take the chance to get the books I can get. But looking at it, I really feel like this is more something I would hand to my 11-year-old sister to read to herself. And something I don't really imagine. She says it's very engaging for young learners, but my 4-year-old boy listening to this, I feel like would be a stretch, but I haven't read it yet. I should give it a chance. We will see, but I'm a little like, it's just something you might want to think about if you're choosing to do this with younger kids. The fact that both of the term 3, main books you're supposed to be reading are kind of really long and a lot of words and few pictures. That's just something to be aware of if you're doing it with younger kids. If you're doing it with, more, second grade-ish kids, this is probably going to be a lot easier. This is the last big part, the student notebook. It begins with a daily schedule and checklist. You can choose to follow the checklist as you would like. If you're doing roughly 4 days to a unit, we do touch on we touch on our science stuff every single day that we do school. We touch on nature, but at the minimum, we'll do our vocabulary words and memory statement. And then sometimes we'll read book. Sometimes we will do this notebook, which this notebook really does have some cool stuff. Let's take a look at it. So there will be readings here, readings on the first page of each unit, which are called Nature Nuggets. And they are from classic living books within the Charlotte Mason tradition. And these are also kind of above what my boys' level would be. I know all the Charlotte Mason people love these living books. I'm still trying to be sold on them. I do like the Among the Pond people, Among the Forest people. Those books are recommended for level 2 of this program. I did buy them. I read them to my little sister earlier this year, and those were really funny and clever. But again, to me, they fit a lot better for older kids, and you'll have less frustration if you're using it with older kids. But my boys can handle so much of this that it's just I'm not too worried if we skip some of these readings, or I summarize it or describe the things that they need to know in more age-appropriate ways. They have these creature corner pages, which are usually just something we're pointing to. Which animals are amphibians? They spend part of their life in water, part of their life on land, designed for both. We have poetry recitation. We have been working on the caterpillar that lasts, I think, through the whole first term, if I'm not wrong. I'm going to show you right here. This page is supposed to be for basically a narration. What did you learn about the animal activity? And I'm going to show you how my son did it. It's this is going to be just a proud mom moment where, every parent thinks their own kid is just amazing, and other parents are going to look at this and be like, that is totally not amazing. But hey, just let me have my moment. Of course, we are all amazed with our own babies. This was his drawing and narration page from the frog thing, which I told you he was obsessed with the frog life cycle. So here's the eggs, and the eggs are going to grow and be a tadpole. That's a tadpole. And then that was the tadpole getting bigger. And then that's the tadpole when it turns into a froglet, and it has some legs, but it still has a tail, or as he always says, cola in Spanish. And then it becomes a frog, and it looks like that. And you know, just let me be amazed here. I realize that this looks not amazing to any other human being on the planet, but to me, I was very impressed. And yes, I'm saving it. I'm definitely saving it. So there's different activity pages throughout here. There are also pages about different wildflowers, which I do talk to the boys about the wildflower and tell a little bit about it. Like I told them my memories of pulling apart milkweed pods. But we don't live in North America, and none of the wildflowers are, of course, relatable to us. But I have used that as inspiration to start pointing out to them and naming the different kinds of flowers we have locally around here, so that they can learn our local flowers. We don't do anything serious as far as like drawing flowers and really learning about their characteristics, because again, I'm using this with preschoolers. The fish one, this is the fish one. The fish one, we did a super cool extension activity as far as anatomy of a fish, which was totally inspired by my husband. So I've shown you the student notebook, and that's kind of what you can expect. Creature corner, by Dragonfly, we have a review on our vocabulary words, so that's great. On the Spanish or whatever language you're choosing to do, vocabulary words. This notebook definitely takes it up a notch, and if you have an older kid who can write, it's going to be awesome for them to have. Even you can go deeper. It's definitely something that you can do even more with older kids, but you can also take it really light with little kids. Now I'll talk a little bit about our extensions. So, you know, everyone just kind of adds in spur of the moment extensions. I do look at the book list and see if if the library at my husband's school has any of the books. They usually don't. So then I just ask, hey, can you bring home any books that feature frogs or fish or dragonflies or whatever we're studying? And he does. And then I do look at our Explore More for ideas, but we also just kind of take what ideas are realistic for us. And my husband's idea for a fish activity was to buy a fish at the market and then have him and my son dissect it at the kitchen table. And I got some video of it. It was really cute from a distance. I did not go close by. It's not really my kind of thing. But yeah, so there's lots of opportunities to add extensions. Then when we're doing insects, I have a whole set of magnetic insects that you're supposed to put the different insects on different shapes on. It's like a puzzle magnet thing. So we did that, and we watched some videos of dragonflies in action, and there's like a lot. It's pretty easy to just kind of spur of the moment add something. I'm never one about big, overly planned extensions with a lot of supplies, but it's pretty easy, I feel like, to add in some of those very just simple extensions, and it's been really fun so far. We actually saw a frog after we did the frog unit, which it's surprisingly rare to see frogs here. And my son was so excited. He's like, it's a frog, it's a real frog. It's probably the first frog I've seen in years here. So that's my chatty conversation about Gentle and Classical Nature Volume 1. There is a lot that I'm finding to be very valuable and great to do with my little boys. We've had a lot of fun learning about frogs and fish and dragonflies and these creatures that are very interesting to them at this stage. Do be aware that not everything is going to fit every age. So use what is great and useful for the own age of your kids. I am finding this great as a program to use before doing real science. Real science. This is because I'm, from that family that's more on the, engineering, electronics, astronomy, like super serious science, not so much on the animal science. But my kids love animals, so we're doing this, and we're having a lot of fun with it. But do know you can definitely adjust as far as what are the books you're reading. There are level 2 books. I think at some point she's going to add in some level 3 books if you're doing it with even older kids. But yeah, if you have any questions or just comments and you want to talk about nature study in your homeschool and what that looks like for you, how Charlotte Mason you are or not, go ahead and leave me some comments down below.